This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen Nemesis, a sci-fi action movie from 1992 directed by Pyun. Set in the far-off future of 2027, a war is brewing between illegal androids and humankind, with cyborgs caught between the two sides. One such cyborg, an LAPD bounty hunter named Alex, has grown tired of it all and leaves the force, but of course it's never that easy. He's brought back, against his will, for one last assignment: find his former handler and lover, Jared, an android who has turned heel and plans to deliver secrets to a rebel militant army. However, the truth is much more complicated. Another android has assumed the identity of their former human boss and plans to turn the war in their favor, and Jared's information would ruin that goal. Once again, Alex finds himself between these two worlds, but this time he at least has some purpose to continue. Sort of. At its core, the story uses a somewhat standard sort of action thriller formula, from its disillusioned protagonist to the ever-shifting allegiances to the parts where things kind of just stop to have an action scene or a little moment of comic relief. It's really nothing too surprising, especially if you've seen lower-budget action movies in the past, and especially those that put more of a focus on the action itself than the characters or the world around them. I will say on that note that there is an interesting amount of world building in the film, and certainly a good amount of time spent on making these elements integral to the story and cementing it within a cyberpunk setting. It's somewhat superficial, with Alex's cyborg enhancements and the greater war between humans and androids being put in contrast with otherwise normal environments and other settings. But there is, in fact, still enough to it that it satisfies the minimums for the genre, if those actually exist. Whatever the case, the action sequences are very much a selling point, with just about every major scene or story segment either coming out of a fight or setting up another one. As for that action, while it does move us from one location to the next, it's not completely integrated with the story in the sense that individual fights would have their purpose. Here it's mostly Alex versus faceless goons. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it does show a weakness in the writing overall. I suppose that's more to do with the budget of the film being as limited as it is. It seems as if it wants to get through the fight scenes and make them happen with as much spectacle as possible, and to its credit, it accomplishes that goal. It does often require shooting in relatively desolate locations with little excitement to them, but there are still some inventive uses of the environment and a good amount of special effects, some of which come to save what might otherwise be a stale gunfight. The cyborg makeup is also pretty convincing, integrated well enough into the world and upon characters. Cinematography does have its moments, putting forth a clear sense of creative style and framing, and in a few scenes making interesting use of lighting and contrast. Colors are a bit less creative, at least in the areas where they can't be controlled as easily. Overall, though, the style and the story do have enough working in their favor that the film as a whole comes out more fun and imaginative than it would seem on the surface. It really does seem to be a case of trying to do too much with a limited budget, but it's still one of the better examples of that. Nemesis, Pyun, 1992. 3 stars. I'd go ahead and recommend trying it yourself. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you have something to add, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Honestly though, I think that the cyberpunk elements are a bit thrown together in a few places. At some points, you could probably remove them entirely and nothing would change. I appreciate that they tried to make it cyberpunk, though.